Hello, students. This is Mr. Chance talking more about the Song of Hiawatha. Specifically today, I want to look at the introduction to the poem. The introduction to the poem starts with a narrator who presumably the author, but we don't want to necessarily assume that this is Longfellow himself speaking to us, starts with, "Should you ask me, whence these stories?" And what the introduction is doing is it's setting up the purpose of the poem. The purpose of the poem. And the first thing the narrator wants to do really is to establish the historical legitimacy of this epic poem that he is about to tell us. And this is why he answers the question that you and I might have: where did you hear this story, right? Where did you learn this from? And in line 43, he answers this question, right? He said, "I should answer your inquiries straightway in such words as follows." And the gist of it is that our narrator here tells us that he didn't make this story up, that he learned this story from Hiawatha, the musician, the sweet singer, who in turn learned this story from nature. Right, it was told to him in birds' nests. He learned it from the hoof prints of the bison. The wild fowl in line 30 sang this to him, and this emphasis on birds is a recurring theme, a recurring motif in the poem. Right, birds are important to this story. And so this is going to pop up over and over and over. So if you're wondering why we're getting the names of all of these different types of birds, it's because they are, in a way, characters in the story, and they are also the source of the story. So there you have it. Then we get to this question of what is the purpose of the story, right? What is the purpose of the Song of Hiawatha? And the author he comes out and tells us the purpose of this story, starting in line 61. I'm looking at my copy, right? Starting in line 61, tells us that Hiawatha, right, there he sang of Hiawatha, sang the song of Hiawatha, sang his wondrous birth in being, how he prayed and how he fasted, how he lived and toiled and suffered, that the tribes of men might prosper, that he might advance his people. Okay. So the purpose of the poem and Hiawatha's purpose coincide with each other. If we learn from Hiawatha, the man, the prophet, and we learn from Hiawatha this story, then our tribe might prosper. We might avoid the bad things that are coming down the road towards us. And there is a sort of universalism to this poem, that it deals primarily with Native Americans, and a number of them are mentioned, number of Native American groups are mentioned in the introduction earlier on. But this is not just for Native Americans. And I want to go through this a little bit at a time here, but I don't want to belabor the point too much. In line 69, our narrator tells us that this poem, this story, the Song of Hiawatha, is for ye who love the haunts of nature. Okay? This is for people who appreciate nature and natural beauty, who enjoy the world which we have been given as a gift, which is a theme that's going to pop up in the first canto, that nature has been given to us as a gift. So the Song of Hiawatha is for those who love nature. And then in line 81, it also tells us that this is for ye who love a nation's legends, love the ballads of the people that, like voices from far off, call to us to pause and listen. And notice that it is love a nation's legend. The indefinite article, our narrator doesn't have any particular nation's legends in mind here. So whether our national legends are the Iliad, the Odyssey, the stories of King Arthur, the Bible, whatever they might be, if we love them and we listen to them, then this is for us. Listen to this song of Hiawatha. It tells us over and over again, right? It also tells us in line 90 that this is for ye whose hearts are fresh and simple. And here I think we're getting in line 90, I think this is especially important because line 90, this section of the poem points to the universality of the story of Song of Hiawatha. It echoes Jeremiah 31, Romans 2, and Hebrews 10, for example. And let me elaborate on this just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, so starting in line 90. Ye whose hearts are fresh and simple, who have faith in God and nature, who believe that in all ages every human heart is human, that even in savage bosoms there are longings, yearnings, strivings for the good they comprehend not, that the feeble hands and helpless groping blindly in the darkness touch God's right hand in that darkness and are lifted up and strengthened. Our narrator here is telling us that all people, all humans in all times and in all places are human. And we all have very much the same longings, strivings, and yearnings. And that these are not limited to a particular subset of humanity. For example, they are not limited to white Christian educated men, such as our poet Longfellow here himself. That all people, we stumble around, we trying to make sense out of life, and in this metaphorical darkness that we move and live in, sometimes we manage to touch God's hand, and at that point in time we are uplifted, we are strengthened, even if, because the metaphor, we're in darkness, even if we can't see and we don't understand what it is we have touched. Right. So like I said, this I think very strongly echoes the idea in Jeremiah 31 that God's law has been written in the hearts of men, that we're all at our base very much the same. And this ties into the sentiment, not the sentiment, that's the wrong word, to the very strong statement in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed with this equality and with certain unalienable rights by our Creator. And that's the same Creator for everybody. Anyways, to continue on, line 103, he goes into this long section about ye who sometimes in your rambles through green lanes of the country, right? So this idea that I'm walking through the countryside. And while I'm walking through the countryside, I pause by some neglected graveyard. There's a wall there. Hadn't it been for the wall, I might not have even noticed, right? Because the graveyard is long neglected. And I stop and I look at one of the headstones, and I can't quite make out what it says anymore because of the half-effaced inscription, but I can tell that there's some homely phrases here. And what we're getting at is the thing, one of the things, I guess would be a better way to say it, that makes us all the same in our nature, is that we all have hope and we all experience heartbreak. And even in that heartbreak, there still is hope. And so there's a tender pathos we're told in line 114, the tender pathos of the here and the hereafter. This longing to believe that there is some purpose, that there is some meaning that can be found even in death, the ultimate separation of us from those we love. So this is what the Song of Hiawatha is for. This is who the Song of Hiawatha is for. And after this introduction, we immediately go into the story proper. Now that we understand, at least in part, why this story is important and some of the lessons and themes that we're supposed to be watching for in this story, now it's time for us to hear the story. And I guess that's it for this video. Like I said, I don't want to belabor the point too much. I hope you're keeping caught up with your reading, and I will see you in class. Have a good day.